Okay, so today I want to talk about why it's important to sell your product or your service before you build it. All right, so I've worked with a lot of startups recently. One of them has spent $400,000 building a product before they sell it, and I predict that nobody's going to buy it. So we're going to have to go change the product. Now, most founders run into this, right? So there are dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds of companies in the tech space, especially, and in a lot of other spaces that build a product or they build a service, right? So they define what they're doing as a service, or they define what their product is. Maybe they even drop hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars developing it, but they have no product market fit. They haven't sold anything. They have no wait list. They have no proof. There's no product market fit. All right, so I want to show you guys the two options that you have, and I'll let you choose which path is going to be more profitable for you. Hint, it's number two. So what most people do is that they will build the product, and then once it's done, they'll spend months and months building their product. Maybe it's a software, right? Okay, so you build a software, you build a service, build a product. Then you go try to sell it. About 5% of companies will succeed doing it this way, right? Maybe less, maybe 1%. All right, so if you find that success, that's great, awesome. Most companies will fail, right? It's very rare that you're going to build a product that works right off the bat, that resonates with customers that you haven't met yet, that you don't know anything about. Even if you've been in the industry for a really long time, it doesn't really mean that you know what products people want, okay? So most people will end up in this category, and if you're here, this shouldn't be here, but if you're in this failure bucket right out of the gate, there's nowhere to turn, right? Because there's nowhere connecting you. You're floating, right? You have no idea what happened, and you've already spent so much money developing this. Or if you haven't spent a lot of money, maybe you've spent someone else's money, which is also not so great. Or maybe you've just spent way too much time that you're sunk by this point. If you hit this failure point and you realize that, hey, I've just spent $500,000 developing this and it's just done, it's hard to pivot out of this. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just unless you have money or unless you have a bunch more time, you're not going to pivot out. Okay, so even if you are with that 5% that hits that success right away, building first and then selling and then succeeding, what's going to happen is you're going to need to figure out why it worked, right? Before you go scale your marketing, before you go create a bunch of ads, before you go do all that, you're going to have to figure out why it actually sold, right? Because if you don't know why it sold, you're not going to be able to write a good ad. You're not going to be able to go raise money, and you're not going to be able to scale very easily. So the only way you can do this is by talking to those customers that were already sold. Okay, but the hard part about that is the feedback isn't always honest after a customer's already purchased. It's hard to get customers on the phone unless you're selling high ticket, right? If you're just selling a regular product or a regular software, it's hard to get people on the phone. And even if you interview them, they might not want to tell you why they actually bought. Their answers might be random. You just don't know why they bought, right? It's hard. So even fewer people will squeak through to that sustained success by building first. Does that make sense? So if you're building first, you're putting a lot of risk on the line. And that's where I think the entrepreneurial game gets very risky, is the building first, right? You're putting so much time and energy and thought and focus and usually money on the line with no proof of sell. There's no proof of selling. Okay? Now, the other option that you have, which I prefer, is something that looks a little bit more like this. All right? So you sell first before you go build the product. Now, you might have a mock-up, you might have an idea. I'm not saying just like don't know what you're selling, right? You might have an idea. You're like, hey, I want to build a software for this. All right. So you have an idea. Maybe you've had some previous customers in an adjacent industry you want to launch up, or maybe you're launching a new product, right? Maybe you already have a company that does $20 million a year, but you're launching a new product. What most people do is build out this product and follow this model above, and then the same thing happens and they just burn money, right? Or they burn a bunch of time and resources. But if you follow this model, sell first, which I'll show you how to do in a second, but you sell first, there is no failure there because you're selling what people want, right? So it'll take some testing. You'll have to test out some claims of, hey, what do people want? Like, let's get them on a phone call, let's talk, let's build out a white paper that we can sell to them, right? We'll talk about this in a second, but point is, when you sell first, there's no failure because you're just validating the claim. You're seeing, hey, I'm building a software doing X, Y, and Z. You test it to a bunch of people and they don't bite. You know you probably shouldn't build that product, right? But if you say, I'm building a software building A, B, and C, then a bunch of people book calls, you fill up your wait list, and you build out the product as you go, it's great, right? So there's no failure there. There's just a small amount of testing. And you can do this on ads, or you can just do it without spending any money. You can just do it on organic outreach, right? So you just sell first using your claim, like using a landing page or a white paper or a little mock-up website of what you might be selling. And then the only way is up, right? So you're going to figure it out. Within a couple months, you can probably figure out what you want to build. Sometimes in a week, you can figure out what you should be building and what has resonance in the market, right? So then you just build the product around what you sold. And you can do this as a wait list, right? So you're not actually taking people's money, or you can just customer fund everything. If you're building a high ticket software, close a deal for $10,000 and say, hey, it's customer funded, so we'll build you exactly what you want. And then you can just go build the product. Go build the product around what just sold to your first 5, 10 customers. Okay? Collect all the feedback and then spend 14 days building it out. Spend 30 days building it all out exactly to what those 5 customers want. Because if they bought, that's who you're going to go target later, right? So then you don't need to figure out why they bought. So that step that we have above here, like figure out why it worked for sustained success, you don't have to do that. You just go sell more because you already know what worked. All right, so the claim that you used in the beginning, it worked. You built the product around it, which made the product even 150 times better right out of the gate before you spent money. You may not even need your own capital to do this because you can just go sell and customer fund it, or maybe you can just take that as profit and then go get investor money to build it, right? And investors are much more likely to invest if you have a huge wait list, or if you're doing this product. They are 100 million times more likely to invest if you're doing this, okay? So then you just go sell more, and then you'll achieve sustained success if you figure out the marketing and stuff and just build it around the product and reshape it. Okay, so then if you can't sell more, it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the road, right? You just go slow down and you get a little bit more feedback from these initial customers over here. And then you keep tweaking that product until it's perfect. And then at that point, it's probably just a little marketing problem, or you might have to figure out what platforms are going to resonate the best, right? It's less of a fundamental issue. Whereas here, if you hit this failure point right here, your product probably isn't working, or your product might be bad, or your product, you might not even have a customer base, right? So that's a bigger problem. I would rather have a problem where I have to solve a little bit of marketing information, or get a better salesperson, or write a better sales script, or fix my landing page than to go rebuild a product that I just dropped 4 months on, right? That sucks. It sucks to be here, but it's not the end of the world to be here, right? Pretty much everyone's here. All the good business owners they live here because they're just trying to figure it out and they're trying to push towards that sustained success. And you always end up dropping back and forth between these two, right? So this is the model that you should be doing is sell before you build. Now, if you're a big company, it still applies to you, right? If you're launching a new product, or if you're here and you're not able to really push your sales, or you're having a downturn, go back to this for a second. Go test your claim, your offer, your actual offer that you have, not the marketing and not the hooks and not how your landing page looks. Go back to here, go back to the fundamentals. Go sell the offer and then rebuild what you're actually giving people. Okay? And that should be a pretty good framework. Very few people use this, but it makes sense, right? It definitely makes sense, at least to me. So yeah, how do you actually sell first? Well, the easy way is just test the claim. How do you sell before building? You test the claim. And how do you do that? Maybe you spin up a landing page and put it as the headline and just record a video. Just throw something up there. Be like, hey, we're building this product. Here's what we're thinking. We want to help this person. And then run traffic to it on ads. Or you can go test just an ad and then get people to DM you or get people to message you. Collect emails, reach out to them, right? You're just trying to talk to people to figure out what they want. Let's say you want to build a software and you're like, hey, maybe chiropractors would benefit from this software because it could help their practice. Just go throw up a claim, be like, hey, how to get benefit as a chiropractor, how to add another $10,000 a month to your recurring revenue as a chiropractor. And then go run traffic to it and get chiropractors on the phone. They won't even know what they're talking. They won't even know what they're hopping on a call about, right? They're just interested because it's what they want. And then you can be like, hey, I'm building this software. What do you think could benefit you? Right now, I'm thinking about building a custom platform that is able to track your revenue and help you get more referrals and manage your advertising all in one thing. But I want to make sure it's like customer built and stuff. Would you be interested in helping me build it out? I can customer fund it. So my first customers, I'll just build it to exactly what they want. Does that sound good? And then they might be like, oh, that's cool. You give them some of your track record so they know that you're legit, and then you get a deposit, right? So you're building it as you go, and it's not that crazy. This is what investors want to see. They don't want to see you dumping in $9 million to a company that's unproven. That's just dumb, right? Go sell before you build as much as you can. This doesn't mean that you can't mock something up or that you can't have an idea that's great and you're focusing on the product, but this makes way more sense. All right, so I hope that helps. Let me know if you have questions. If you want to work with us and see how we do this in action and a little bit more involved, just go book a call. You can find the site down below, www.zunisty.com. You can also go to zunisty.com/growth for a little bit longer presentation. But yeah, go book a call and look forward to talking to you soon. Hit the thumbs up, thumbs down, do whatever you got to do, and subscribe to the channel.